Hi, I'm Josh Kettleson.
And I'm Christo Schultz. So Josh, the age we live in and being here in America, we have a lot of small business owners or individuals that are self-employed, or what's becoming even more common is 1099 contractors out there. Where do those people go to save for retirement?
You know, obviously you can have a brokerage account. Brokerage account is a great way to build money. It'll grow, it'll compound, etc. But the problem is it's taxable, isn't it? So it doesn't seem like that's a fair comparison for a self-employed person compared to employees like we are who have access to a retirement plan. But there's still plenty of vehicles for the self-employed depending on where they're at in their business. Everybody with earned income is eligible to contribute to an IRA. So even if an IRA fits and you have $6,000 a year as your budget to save for retirement, an IRA is perfect. They're cheap, they're self-managed. You can do that very easily. But let's say you have a little more cash flow. Let's say you have 1 or 2 employees that aren't your spouse, for example. There's other opportunities. So an IRA will get you so far, but a simple IRA can get you to the next level where you can save even more for yourself and for your employees. There's stipulations, of course, but that's another vehicle. And then there's the dump truck, where we can put a lot of money into an IRA, again, depending on how profitable your company is, through things like SEP IRAs, where you're able to put in quite a bit of money on a tax-deferred basis, where your company is able to do that on your behalf. But just because you're self-employed, especially if you're a successful self-employed person, you can still have a 401k. You don't have to have a big company like ours to have a 401k. There are plenty of individuals out there, and there's real good benefits to do it, that start their own 401k for their own company. We call them solo 401ks, for example. Again, more minutia, more paperwork, more legalities, but it's a great way to save a lot of money for retirement. In addition to that, if we're going to talk the very next level of ultra high income earners, we can talk about things like self-funded pension plans, where you're able to basically set up a defined benefit plan for yourself. And there's so many legalities involved, I'm not going to get into here, but trust me, if you're self-employed, whether you have 1 employee, 10 employees, or 20 employees, as long as you're cash flow positive and you have a desire to retire, you can substantially replicate what any regularly employed person might have.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, my experience with my clients that are self-employed or have a small workforce, they have more options and potentially bigger savings vehicles and the ability to park aside a lot more money and write off some contributions, if you will, through those plans. And so worth talking to someone. Everyone's situation is different, like we harp on all the time, but you can certainly still save for retirement regardless of whether you have your standard 401k that contributes 3% company match.
And I want a lot of self-employed business owners, don't get hung up on the idea that, well, if I participate, I have to include my employees. Those provisions are for your benefit. First of all, they're making sure your employees are being compensated fairly. In a competitive work environment, people need to be compensated properly. But that compensation you're providing your employees might be a benefit to your company in terms of how you pay them and what other taxes they might be subject to. So there's a lot of benefits beyond just your personal wealth accumulation, but there's real benefits to actually providing that to employees as well.